Hello. Yeah, so Daz has sent me a list of questions and bits of information that he wants to know. So I'm going to answer these. And then, yeah, feel free to start asking questions in the comments when I've done with these, and maybe I can get some questions answered. There's no time limit really. I'm here for however long you want me to be until you get bored. But yeah, so the first one is about me. This is what Daz has asked me to say. So about me, so I'm Aidan Cutler, played Biff Tannen in Back to the Future the musical. And yeah, I am from West Bromwich, which is just outside of Birmingham in the Black Country. I was brought up here. My family have lived here for 30 odd years. I started off here. I went to a public school in Wednesbury, and then I was scouted by, well, I say scouted, one of my drama teachers basically said she thought that I had a bit of a knack for the performing arts, and so she put me in for an audition for like a pre-drama school course at a BTTF college in Birmingham called BOA. And I went there and I did a 3-year BTEC musical theatre course. And then I started auditioning for drama schools, and I was lucky enough to get into the Guildford School of Acting. I was very, very lucky. And I went there, and then I signed with a great agent called Peter Bliss at Global Artists. And the rest is history, really. Well, the past, the future. But yeah, yeah, that's about me. Question 2 was, how did you get the part? So I auditioned. Like I said, I have a great agent called Peter who called me one day and said the producers and the director of Back to the Future and the casting director would like to see you for an audition for the role of Biff. So I auditioned and I got the role. Don't really know what else to say. I went in and I sang for the panel, sang a song from the show, and did a couple of Biff scenes. And about 2 weeks later, I got a phone call saying that I got the role. And like I said, I don't know if any of you saw the ITV Granada interview that I did. When I got that call, I was jumping up and down my bedroom in London, crying my eyes out, because of how thrilled I was. So yeah. Question 3, were you nervous about taking on the role? Yes. Yes, I was. Utterly terrified. The pressure of knowing who I was going to be working with was pretty huge, really, and it was an honour to be, you know, just even a part of Back to the Future. It was an honour, let alone to be playing one of the principal roles. A real honour, and that kind of ties on to the next question, which was, you realise you're working with Bob Gale, Bob Zemeckis, Alan Silvestri and Glenn Ballard. Was I nervous? Yes. At first, I'm being honest, I didn't realise that those guys were going to be so heavily involved in the process, because I hadn't been involved in the 2 years of workshops that they did previous to the show opening in Manchester. I was brand new in Manchester. I was, you know, the show in Manchester and rehearsals for that were my first experience with Back to the Future the musical. So it was terrifying when I turned around one day in the studio and saw Bob Gale stood behind me. I didn't realise that they were going to be so heavily involved in it, and then Bob was there for the rest of the entire rehearsal process, and then Glenn and Alan joined. And obviously Bob Zemeckis came along a few times, and you know, that was so much pressure to be playing a role that these guys have created, and you know, they're so renowned for creating these roles and then being such incredible roles in such a phenomenal movie, and the movie, should I say, all 3 movies. But yeah, so that was a lot of pressure. And question 5, did you know much about the Back to the Future franchise? Yes. Obsessed, love it, of course. Yeah, I watched it when I was a kid many a time, and you know, I've watched it with my nephews since they've been growing up. My nephews are, you know, I've got 3 nephews on my sister's side, and they're 11 and 9 and 8. And yeah, so I've been watching it with them. I've watched it for years myself, obsessed with it. It is one of the greatest movies ever created, so to be a part of that franchise at all, massive, is, you know, a huge honour for me. Question 6 was, what was my reaction after opening night? So to put it bluntly, this is after press night. So on the 11th of March, the curtain came down after the show, and I was sharing a dressing room with the wonderful Hugh who played George. And we both went back to our dressing room, and I think we just had to take a moment, really, because obviously press night was when we all got dressed up and went to the after party and stuff. But I think me and Hugh both just sat there for about 10 minutes in silence, and we just had to have a moment. I think we both got quite emotional. And I think for them as well, for those guys like, Hugh and Cedric and Roger and Ollie and Rosie, those guys have been involved in Back to the Future the musical from the very beginning, from the beginning of the workshop process. So for them, that was a realisation of 2 years of work coming into fruition. And, that for them was this is a real thing now, this is actually happening. So I'm not saying that the effect for me was any lesser, but for me it was more, oh my God, I'm involved in this. I have the honour of being on the stage with these people every night and working with these people and being a part of this show. So it was a lot, it was huge. And the audience, you guys and, everyone else that came from all over the world, that's mind-boggling. It really was mind-blowing. And just the reaction, everyone's reactions, we couldn't have possibly hoped for it to have been a more incredible reaction from everyone that came to see it. So yeah, that was a real beautiful experience. And it was my first big press night on a show ever. Like I said, I only graduated from drama school last July. So to have that as my first, as Bob Gale said to me, it's only going to go downhill from here. So that's not the case, but it probably is right, because that was a pretty huge press night for my first real press night. The next one was, really good question. So this is Good at Being Bad, which was a song that I originally sang in Act 1, in the first scene in the diner. And it got cut during previews. I think it was on the night of the 14th preview, it got cut. And the question is, how did I feel? So obviously I was heartbroken. I was gutted that it had been cut, but I was called in early, about an hour earlier than the rest of the cast were, and I actually woke up I was absolutely shattered, and I woke up to a missed call and a text from our director, John Rando, and I also had a missed call and a text from the incredible associate director, Richard Fitch, saying, can you come to the theatre, we need to talk to you. And I was like, oh God, what's happening? And I got there, and John sat me down, and he just said, look, the show at the moment is too long, we also feel that there's things in the show that need to go. Lots of the show has changed. So many bits of scene were cut, bits of song were cut, and all that kind of stuff. And he explained to me the reasons that he thought Good at Being Bad needed to go, and I agreed with him instantaneously. There was no hesitation from me as to why it should go. The reason that John gave to me, and the way he explained it to me, and I was with him straight away, was that Good at Being Bad kind of gave Biff redeeming features. It made him exciting and bubbly and kind of happy in a way. And it actually meant that people were siding with me and siding with the character of Biff. And, like I said, it gave him a redeeming feature, which isn't really what I think people look for in Biff. You want to be scared of Biff. He's the kind of guy that should intimidate and terrify people, and he's quite a morose, horrible character. So why would you want him to have redeeming features? And another great reason is, actually, when you look at it, Good at Being Bad is a song all about bullying, and it kind of glorified it in a way. That when we thought the amount of kids that we've got coming to see the show, the amount of younger people that we've got coming to see the show, we don't want them, listening to that song and looking at what I was doing on stage in that song and thinking that, those are things that can be condoned and that bullying is okay. And yeah, I think once it was gone, it kind of, it grounded the character a bit more, and made him a bit more intense, and a bit more real, really. So yeah, of course I was gutted that the song got cut, but it's all part of it. And yeah, what else to say? Question 8 was, did you reach out to Tom Wilson? I didn't reach out to him, no. I did tweet him once, like, I can't remember what it was now, it was some kind of jokey tweet. But he actually did reach out to me. I was lucky enough the morning of press night to, somebody came to my dressing room door and said, we found this letter. And it was addressed to me, and on the back it just simply says, Tom Wilson, and it has his return address on it. And there's a lovely letter inside that's handwritten by Tom, talking about what he's heard from Bob about my performance, Bob Gale, and yeah, that he wishes me all the best and all that kind of stuff. I was shaking like a leaf when I opened that letter. So unfortunately I have written a letter back to Tom, but because I am being a good boy and sticking with the lockdown rules, I haven't been getting out of the house, so I haven't been out to post that letter yet. However, I have written an email in response to him to say thank you so much for your kind words and stuff, because it really does, you know, when you think about it, for someone like Tom Wilson himself to actually write me a letter and send it to me, that's a massive honour. So yes, he shall be receiving a letter back from me anytime now. Next one, have you always been a fan of the movies? As I said earlier, yes. They're, you know, irreplaceable. The movies are incredible. And yeah, it's as simple as that, really. Question 10, favourite moment in the show? My favourite moment in the show, personally, also because I'm a huge fan of the man himself, a song called This One's in Act 2, which was Roger Bart's or Doc's song, that came just before my song in Act 2, which meant that I was always just waiting behind the scenery, the set for my song to start, which meant that every single night I got to listen to Roger Bart's beautiful voice and his acting ability take that song to the next level. You know, what is an incredibly written song anyway, and Roger just blew the socks off of it. I'll never forget when he sang that song in the Sitz Probe, which is the band call, basically. The first time we sang with the band, and it absolutely broke my heart, because Roger is, you know, not only the most stunning human being on this planet, he's just the loveliest guy, but it's also a beautiful, beautiful song. So yeah, that's my favourite moment in the show. Question 11 is happy that it was in Manchester. Yes, I love Manchester. Manchester is great. Manchester's an amazing place, and the people there are so lovely too. Like, such nice people, really nice place. Around by the theatre was stunning as well. Yeah, I think we were very lucky to open up in Manchester and have that experience. That was just, you know, a great one. Question 12 that I got sent actually was, you know, that you guys are really confident that the show's going to make a return. Am I? I know just as much as you guys do at this point in time. I know nothing, you know, so I don't really know what to say. Just keep fingers crossed and, you know, hope that Back to the Future will be back in the future. But I don't know, honestly. And question 12 was, what was it like working with such an amazing cast? Oh, sorry, that was question 13. What was it like working with such an amazing cast? Well, let's put it this way. You guys saw how incredible they were. And it was a real honour for me to share the stage with such wonderful people, you know. I walked in on the first day of rehearsals, to be quite frank, not knowing what to expect, because I'd never really been in that kind of environment before. But everyone was so welcoming and lovely and really, really, you know, was happy to be in the same room as everyone else and ready to work. And, you know, the experience that every single member of that cast has, you know, for someone like me who's just starting out in their career is a real honour. So yeah, just phenomenal. And the guidance that I had from people, you know, I had my mama, you know, Rosie, who played Lorraine. She was just there for me every step of the way, helping me through and giving me advice. And the same goes for Cedric, who played Goldie, and Roger. and the great Mark Oxtoby, who played Strickland as well. You know, just the people were so supportive and so ready to get behind your back, because they all want the show to be at its, like achieve its best potential. They all want everybody to be on top form all the time, and it was really lovely to see that every single day and have the motivation to work so hard because of those people. So yeah, those were all of the questions that Daz sent to me, so feel free to start asking questions in the comments if you'd like to. I also have 2 questions that were put on the status that I put up earlier, from lovely little Seb. So if you're watching, hello Seb. And he asked me what my dream role was. So my dream role, other than Biff, of course, is Agatha Trunchbull in Matilda the Musical, a role that I'd adore to play. I've been obsessed with that musical since the first time I saw it about 7 or 8 years ago now. And fun fact, Ollie Dobson was actually in the original cast, and I saw him in the original cast of Matilda. And then 7 or 8 years later, I'm playing alongside him in Back to the Future, which was quite cool. And how did you get started? Well, like I said earlier, I went to a pre-drama school training course and then moved on to the Guildford School of Acting and trained there for 3 years. So yeah, man, just keep sticking at what you're doing and you'll get there. What can I say? Okay, did any of the film cast get to see the musical? I don't think so. As far as I'm aware, no one from the cast came to see it. I'm assuming, you know, it's very expensive to fly over from the US. I know quite a lot of fans did, but and they're all probably very, very busy people too. But no, as far as I'm aware, none of the cast got to see it. How was it working with such an automated set? Did it take a while? Timings, oh yes, it took a long time. It was very exciting to be working with a set so huge and vast and just so cool, really. But yeah, it took a long time. We were in technical rehearsals for about 2.5 weeks. So we actually got to Manchester the very first week in February, and we were there for 2.5 weeks teching and working with the car, and you know, it was a lot of pressure, and time was very tight, but we got there and we did it. So yeah, it was cool, but it was quite nerve-wracking. Oh my god, you guys are good with the questions. You got a lot coming in. How did you feel taking such an iconic role? Nervous. Pressure was unreal. The one thing that Bob Gale kept reminding me of, though, and he reminded quite a few of us of this quite a few times, is that we aren't playing the actors that play the roles in the film. So he kept saying, you're not playing Tom Wilson playing Biff, you're Aidan Cutler playing Biff. So put your own spin on it, kind of thing. So that was quite exciting to be able to create something new, but obviously with quite a lot of basis in Tom Wilson's performance in the film. That was quite cool. You coming for a spin in the Back to the Future car after lockdown? Of course. Got my DeLorean parked outside, you know, I'm ready to go. Can you get me a Leslie's number? Oh my goodness. Did you guys expect such a big reaction to the show? I can't get you a Leslie's number, I'm afraid. I think we expected a reaction. I think we expected it to be pretty big, but I don't think any of us expected it to be quite as huge as it was. You know, it was like the sound that was coming from the auditorium every night, your guys' reactions. Honestly, I can't explain it. It was like being a comedian at Wembley Arena. The pure sound that hit you was unbelievable. So that was amazing. What was the atmosphere like prior to the very first performance out front? It was amazing. Nervous. There were a lot of nerves flying about. Excitement, readiness. I think everybody was ready to get this up on its feet and get a first real reaction from an audience, and I think it paid off. And yeah, so it was scary though, standing backstage and just hearing the buzz of the, you know, the you guys in the theatre and hearing the orchestra getting tuned up and stuff. It sent chills up my spine. But it was exciting. If you could play any other character apart from Biff in the show, who would it be about? Oh, right, I'd love to play Doc. I'd love to play Doc. I was joking around to Roger saying that if there's ever a Broadway revival, or like if it goes to the West End in 40 years or something, or I'd love to play Doc. I'd just love to. And then Bob Gale said, absolutely not. He said, you're going to be playing Biff for the next 40 years of your life, joking around. And then, of course, unfortunately, the Manchester performances got cancelled, so that's not quite happening. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We don't know. Any tips for my 11-year-old daughter for moving forward with her career and doing what you're doing? Practicing, work hard, every single day, practice every single day without fail. Don't overwork yourself. When I say practice every day, I don't mean for 6 hours. Do like half an hour to an hour practice every day with your voice. Download and read plays, download and read the scripts to musicals. Go out and watch musicals. I know it can be hard depending on where you live and depending on money and stuff like that, but watch musicals, even if it means watching live film performances like the National Theatre performances online. Watch, research, keep working, apply for drama schools, and all that kind of thing. Yeah, and people will help you out along the way. You're not on your own doing this. That's one thing to remember. Which Back to the Future film is your favourite? The first one, of course. The first one is just so iconic, and is an absolute gem. I think it is the perfect film. I don't think anything can be changed about it. Did you get to sit in the DeLorean? Yes, I did. I sat in the DeLorean quite a few times. And I also sat in the wonderful DeLorean that we used when we did the sports release special, when we did that, because that was one of... I can't remember who owns the car now, but that car is actually signed by all of the original movie cast on the dashboard, so that's quite cool. So I sat in there as well. Demonstrate any of the song or dance numbers? Yeah, man, absolutely. 21st Century, he was right on that, all of the choreography down and everything. Hi Aidan, do you think that it's likely if the show returns that it will be in Manchester again or go straight to the West End? Like I said earlier, I have no idea. I know just as much as you guys do. If it does come back, it could go to Timbuktu for all I know. I really have no idea. So I'm sorry, but that's all I can say. I don't know anything. Just want to say you did a great job with Biff and comments. Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you, Alexandra. Apart from This One's for the Dreamers, what other song in the musical would you like to perform? I think one that I was always walking around backstage singing is Put Your Mind to It. That was obviously the incredible Ollie Dobson and Hugh Coles as Marty and George respectively. Incredible song. Such a bop, so fun. Yeah, I couldn't stop singing that song walking around backstage. That guy that played George was outstanding. Could have literally been Crispin Glover. Yeah, Hugh is a real talent. He's... any mishaps or pranks or funny stories you can tell us? I don't know really. That's a really tough one. I think quite a lot of the time, especially when we're in previews, us guys were really focused on trying to get everything right. So, there are a few moments that we corpsed on stage. There's the incredible Oliver Ormson, who played 3D. He was just a constant barrel of laughs. We actually ended up nicknaming him the comedy captain because he came up with so many genius ideas in terms of comedy for the show. And the amount of times we'd be on stage and he'd just ad-lib a little line, but his mic wouldn't be live, so only the people on stage could hear it, and that would just send us in a spiral of laughter. That was brilliant. Yeah, I can't really think of any mishaps. There were a few technical issues, but other than that, I think pretty much everything went smoothly. Yeah. Do you feel they could move on and do part 2 and 3 as well? I have no idea. They could well do. I have no idea. How did you feel about the audience reactions? Incredible. Couldn't have wished for anything more. Give us your best Doc impression. I don't think so. Not today, I'm afraid. I'll leave that to the incredible Roger Bart, because he does a much better job than I ever would. Were you taken aback by the DeLorean effects, as I was? Yes. sitting in that auditorium in technical rehearsals and stuff, and watching them happen was just like, whoa, you know, just incredible. Any sign of a cast album? Again, no idea. Don't ask me, because I don't know. Oh, Steve Wickenden owns it. Lovely. Sorry guys, I'm going so slowly. Amazing. Oh, Steve. Oh, amazing. Yeah, take me for a spin, man. Do we have a recorded album we can buy / download? Like I said, we haven't recorded one as of yet, and I don't know if there are any plans soon to record one. I have no idea. Hugh is coming down after lockdown for a spin in the car. Oh, awesome stuff. Do you have a recording of your song Good at Being Bad? I don't have, I'm afraid. I mean, I have recordings of me from like dress rehearsals and stuff, but you know, they're to keep us personal little memories of the time that song was in the show. Why did Will have to understudy playing Marty after 5 hours notice? People get sick, people get ill. Unfortunately, Ollie just so happened to get ill the one day, you know, and it happens, it really does happen to people, and especially with Ollie playing Marty as well, you know, the role was so huge. I think there were, added together, there was only about 5 minutes in the entire show that he wasn't on that stage and wasn't having to sing so, you know, hard and you know, use his voice so much, and it was a very physical role for him, so the boy got very tired, and he got ill, and Will had to take over the role for, I think it was 2 performances or 3 performances, but then Ollie was back. But yeah, it happens in a lot of shows. That's why we have understudies there, and that's, you know, they're incredible at doing what they do. You know, Will did an amazing job, and you know, I remember I walked in, because that morning we were actually meant to be, I think that was the morning that we were meant to be cutting Good at Being Bad, and we ended up not cutting it until the following day, because we didn't have time, because we had to rehearse Will into the show. So we had to get the whole cast in, re-rehearse the show with Will, and he smashed it. Do you prefer the original long version of the cocktail scene at the end of the show, or the newer condensed version? Well, I thought both are incredible, but it definitely made sense for us to have the shorter version in, because when we first did the show on the first preview, it was nearly 3 hours long, so we had to cut things down. That's why, you know, Good at Being Bad when half the clock tower sequence went, half of the first car chase went, a lot of scenes were condensed just to make, you know, make up time and you know, give the show a bit more pace, really. Look at what we have here. What do you think of Hugh's party on the inside video? Incredible. I'm gutted I wasn't actually able to be part of it. He asked all of the cast to be involved, and unfortunately I was busy on that day, believe it or not. How many calories would you say that you burned during something about that boy dance number? A lot. It was a lot of physical exercise and a lot of running around. Fun fact, that fight chase, the whole fight sequence, we actually had the main guys that were fighting, we had 3 days before Christmas, before rehearsals had even started, just to work on that fight sequence, because it was so detailed. So yeah, very sweaty, but the cheeseburgers that I ate most days kind of made up for that. Did you find you call people buttheads in real life now? I try not to, because I don't want to upset people, but I do like calling people buttheads. Is it hard lying with your leg in the air for so long after being punched? Yes! I'm so happy somebody asked this. So this actually came from when we were setting that number. Originally I just got hit and I fell to the floor, and then one day, joking around in a rehearsal, I stuck my leg up in the air, and I could hear John Rando, our amazing director, chuckling in my ear, and I was like, oh goodness me, he's going to tell me to keep that in now. And he did, and he told me to keep it, and every single night my leg had been shaking away. So yeah, it was hard, but it was fun, because the reaction it got every night, it got us quite a nice laugh every night, so that was quite fun. Come down with Hugh for a spin after lockdown, we're in Kent. Yeah, absolutely, man, I'd love to. Is it true that they intentionally synchronised the final time travel scene to happen at 10:04 p.m? I don't know, you know. I've heard about this. I've read a couple of posts of people saying that the lightning strike took place at 10:04, as it did in the film, and I don't actually know whether they did that on purpose or not. I do not know the answer to that question, but if they did, that's incredible. Aidan, when we have to do the get out, will you come back up and say goodbye to us? I miss your vocal warmth. Yeah, man. Oh God, I miss it. I miss you guys. I miss everyone backstage. Such an honour to work with you guys. You're all stars. How collaborative was the preview period? Was it hard to adapt to daily changes to the show? It was difficult. Yeah, it was difficult to, walk in and have something that you learned only 2 days previous then be completely changed, and there were lyric changes and dialogue changes, and sometimes things would go wrong. Sometimes, admittedly myself, sometimes I'd be given a scene to change, or I'd be given a line that got changed, and I'd go on that night and do the line that I'd been previously told to do that had now been cut. But that they understand that, because things like that happen all the time. Because it was so fast paced, everything was every day. It was either Bob changing something, or Glenn Ballard and Alan Silvestri changing something, and John Rando changing things, and Chris, our choreographer, changing things, and it was just all the time everything was changing, and it was tricky at first, but I think everybody adapted to that. But it was quite a relief, even though we only got 5 performances in after press night. Before we unfortunately had to close, it was quite nice once press night hit that we knew there weren't any changes anymore, and we could start to settle in to what we created. How fun was it to do the chase scene? Incredible. It was so fun. A lot of effort though. And fighting on top of those lockers is quite terrifying. But once we'd done it, nigh on 90 times, it was comfortable and it felt safe. And Ollie was, a great fight partner, and really fun to work with. Do you have any permanent bruises from Lorraine stepping on you? No, I don't. I don't have any bruises because those guys are so professional. And we had 2 amazing fight directors, Maurice and Alex, who were there to tell us everything and how to do it safely. So she was given a safe place on my torso to stand. So, did Roger get home before lockdown? I believe so. As far as I'm aware, he got back safe. My phone's full. Is there a Biff scene in the movie which you wish was in the musical, e.g. I Hate Manure? Yes. Unfortunately, the manure scene, the car chase scene, had to be cut, and that's why it was replaced with something about that boy, because there's purely no room to fit 2 cars onto a stage. It was tricky enough to get 1 on, let alone 2. But I would have loved to have had that scene in, but something about that boy is such an incredible alternative. As fans of the musical, thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it. No problem. It's my pleasure, really. If you could name one of the other films to be converted to a musical, what would it be? I was saying to a good friend the other night, I would absolutely love to see, believe it or not, The Green Mile. I don't know if anybody knows it or knows the book, but it's a Tom Hanks film. I would love to see that. Or Forrest Gump, which is another one with music written by Alan Silvestri. I would love that to be turned into a musical. What was John Rando like to work with a director? Incredible. The man's a genius, and he gets so involved. He doesn't just sit back and let you get on with it. He gets up there with you, and he's really in your thoughts and really works alongside you to create something special. So yeah, he's a star. Having Alan Silvestri present must have been pretty crazy for you all. But the many changes he had to make, he seemed to be so enthusiastic about the show. Yeah, I think there were quite a few changes that he had to make, because obviously changing into a musical, because Alan Silvestri writes so orchestrally, everything's so big, and we only had they still sounded incredible, but it was only a 14-piece orchestra, and he's used to writing for like 40, 50, 60-piece orchestras. So I think a lot of his writing had to be condensed. And working with Glenn Ballard as well to create that sound for the show, that kind of poppy, upbeat sound. They had to collaborate together, and a lot changed. And I'm not going to tell you what they are, but if there is ever a cast album released, or if the show does come back, you'll have to listen out to the score, because there are actually a lot of the themes from the film interwoven through songs in the musical. So yeah, that's quite cool. What's one special memory you will take away from all of this? It's a very good question. I think one very special memory is this letter. I think, other than working with the amazing cast and the amazing creators, I think sitting in the auditorium on the morning of press night and opening that letter really hit home, and really, made me feel like I was very lucky to be a part of this whole experience. Stealing Tony's question from the original post: Are you keeping up your lines, songs, etc.? I haven't like I said, I don't know what's going on with the show at the minute, so I haven't really looked at the score again, but it's still up there anyway. It hasn't gone anywhere, and it's still such a treasure to me. So yeah, some days I do wake up and find myself reading through my scenes and trying to keep the show alive in my head. And I managed to jump on for a few minutes. Massive thanks to Aidan again for. Oh, amazing! Hi, Daz. Hope everything's going well, buddy. If you had to start the show back up tomorrow, would you remember it? Yeah, I could go on tomorrow and do it like that. Guys, I think I'm going to end it there, unless there's really desperately any more questions. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching and having me. I really hope this has been nice for you, and I really hope that one day I'll see you all again, and that you'll get to see and experience the show again. You never know, we never know what's going to happen. So keep your eyes peeled and your ears open. And, one day, maybe it might make a return. I don't know, I can't promise anything. I'm really sorry that I don't have more information for you guys on that. But yeah, thank you all so much for coming. Yeah, thanks. Now make like a tree and get out of here. See you later, guys. Bye.